What a way to start. Are y'all entertained? Oh my gosh, gentlemen, that was a barn burner, absolutely thrilling, entertaining to watch. I want to go back to the beginning though, okay? I'm gonna put you in the hot seat first, Fresh. I tend to do that,
yeah,
sorry. You're used to it by now. Okay, Astralis' pacing on attack. It was fast, it was direct, but G2 wised up fast.
And that's exactly what we expected. And I think round one, you know, we'd barely gotten off the desk here. You know, we're having a chat amongst ourselves, and we're seeing a blitz in the building. We're seeing fast plays from Astralis. You know, the flank going down in that very first round. Then it happened in round two, and then round three. It took G2 2 rounds to wise up to it, which actually I thought for other teams it has taken them longer to adapt to the Astralis playstyle. So G2 seemed to be aware that it was coming. They wised up for it. They got ready. They were not caught lacking, not caught just wandering in any of the early rounds, and they started picking up the entry kills back onto Astralis. Got away with a 3-3 half as well, which for Chalet is pretty decent.
And just to put a number on how aggressive and hectic this game had been, the opening kill averaged at only 54 seconds into the round. Oof. That is ridiculous. That is unheard of. Usually, the first phase of the round is the attackers approaching the building. No, we had spawn peaks going on 14 seconds in.
Okay, Dev, I need to talk to you about Doki and Benja. They are leading the charge on that map. What did you like about their play?
To be honest, Benja, for me, the exciting thing is that this is the new blood for G2, the final piece of the puzzle. He hit double digits in just round 6. And by the end of round 15, it was 20 bomb Benja time. He was absolutely nuts. So consistent round by round.
I think both players, you know, Doki on stage 3 G2, stage 2 G2, wanted to be the guy that carried the team, right? And he was forcing all these engagements. Now he's got Benja as a natural, like, that is such a difficult front line to go against. They both feel very natural. They're taking fights that are advantageous to both of them. And this Doki-Benja kind of duo is just fragging the hell out in every single game, it would seem.
And I can't help but think about the fact that 4 years on from G2's ultimate success, they have picked up another Dane. There are not many famous players from Denmark in Rainbow Six, but there is one that reigns above the rest and is iconically associated with this roster and has raised the trophy for them on this stage before. Is this the rise of another star player from Denmark?
Okay, Astralis fans, how y'all doing over there? Okay. I'm not gonna lie, they are loud, Fresh, and I definitely think that's having an impact on them. So talk to me about that.
When Astralis was playing yesterday, there was a pocket of maybe 30 people to just the right of the desk here.
Yeah.
Today it is the whole stand that is Astralis fans. And there's the Astralis support staff down here in front of them, geeing them up, getting them chants going, and they are so important because it is genuinely, it's got so much louder than yesterday. They're keeping, whether they know it or not, Astralis in this game with just the energy they're providing them.
You hear that? You're keeping them alive. Oh my gosh, I love this crowd so much. If we're talking about Astralis though, we gotta talk about Spiff. Spiff don't whiff, right?
It's ridiculous. Spiff has none of the fear that you would expect from a pro player debutant. This is his first time in his professional career, and here he is delivering on the stage. And this is what I'm talking about. I got something on the telestration I'd like to touch on. So Spiff here, right? This is only a couple of rounds in, and we're already seeing some of the fantastic attacking strategies that Astralis are bringing to the table here. So Spiff, right, he's playing the fuse, not typically regarded as an entry operator, and the guys on the cast talked about this. When you're on the mezzanine up here, and you put a fuse charge down, it will go down onto the basement of the floor and start tearing up all of that vert. And as we can see what happens with Spiff, not only does he actually enable a lot of vert here, but he even actually finds a kill off of it. In this round, we have Spiff, the debutant, completing some serious objectives for his team, opening up vert. We have him finding the opening kill, and when push comes to shove in the late round, we also have Spiff clutching out the round in a 1 versus 1 and getting that diffuser down. This man can do it all. We talk about KOST, stands for Kill, Objective, Survival, and Trade. This round right here, Spiff does literally everything.
I actually think that KOST is maybe an outdated stat for when you've got a player that can get every single one of them in the same round. Maybe we need to do like a weighted cost, or just for Spiff.
Can you get like 5 cost points for if you do all 5?
Because obviously if you achieve one of them, then you know, you just achieve cost. It doesn't matter which one you achieve. But he achieved every single one. That was an impressive round for a rookie, and like we say, he made his debut at this event.
And we love our rookie Spiff, but iconic, plain iconic. Am I wrong? The clutch.
Ian keeps calling him Batman, but my goodness, this guy comes alive in front of a crowd. You know, I was there in Charlotte and I kept describing him and the team as an enigma. And all he does is feed off the energy that his teammates give him, that his coach gives him, that the crowd gives him. And he keeps coming up with these massive plays and massive moments. Obviously, that 1v3 clutch that he got was, you know, nothing short of sensational by getting it with the trade on the very final kill as well.
Yeah, and this is it. Now, Jack, I wasn't in Charlotte, so this is my first time witnessing Iconic's greatness firsthand. Now, he already had a 2K going into this 1 versus 3 clutch, and it's so hard to play like this. The name of the game is isolating fights, playing to deny the plant, and G2 played this fairly well. They're just looking to trade, and a flashbang is exactly what they try and use to enable that. He finds a kill while flashed. The final was a hip fire, 1-tap, trade, which he only won because when you trade and there's no defenders left, technically they protected the bombs and therefore they win the round. It literally cannot get closer than that.
It's absolutely incredible. I think at this point, when teams go up against, and they know that go up against Astralis and they know they're in a 3v1, a 2v1, you actually see them play it in a sense, even more cautiously because they don't want to lose the round, and they're still losing it.
And how about that final round where J9O is in a 1v5 and you're like, hey, it's possible.
This is not done yet.
It's the Clutch King, it's possible.
Okay, tough question. Map 2, what do we think?
Oh, look, I think that was obviously the pick for G2. So they're expected to take their map pick. Now, we know Astralis have got that mental resilience to go into, you know, being 1 map down and carry on through the full best of 3. It's what they've done the whole tournament. Theme Park is another beast, though, because Astralis do like it, but their results on it are kind of very close games, where their attacking win rate is very low, their defensive win rate is very high, and there's definitely a mismatch there. So with them picking the map, I expect G2 to start on the defense and therefore get a good lead. And I just wonder whether that will start snowballing for Astralis.
Okay, so you're thinking G2 doing this in 2? What are you saying?
I think this is my famous last words. I think G2 do it in 2.
Oh my!
Jack, I made that mistake in stage 2.
You got booed.
I know.
Jack, I made the same mistake you have just made when they were going to play against BDS, and I am certainly not making that mistake again. Look, Theme Park's a good map for both teams, but Astralis are going to take it. I'm telling you right now.
The crowd liked that answer, that's for sure. Are we ready for map 2? Okay, you heard them. Pengu and Taro, take it away.
Thank you very much. Is this the end of the Miracle Run? Is this a continuation of Fabian's undefeated streak against this entire region? I will tell you one thing. G2 has played in a lot of 2-0s through this event. Astralis has played in a single 2-0, and they won it. Even when they've lost games, they still go to all 3 maps. And now we are going to their choice after being a couple kills away from being up 1-0. It doesn't get any closer than that.
No, and to make things worse for G2, I mean, this is also the map where Astralis has sent home both Sonics and BDS. Theme Park was played in those best of 3s. And sure, both teams have a preference for it. G2 played the map 3 times, Astralis played the map 4 times. One of those being against CAG, which was a bit of a blowout. But other than that, both teams very experienced on Theme Park, unlike Chalet.
Amaru band to start things off.
Don't play
and says we don't play Amaru.
Oh, bamboozled. Ying being answered back from Astralis once more. Alamau finding himself on that operator quite frequently. Toki says he has PTSD from other game that they played. Alamau says that they don't play Ying, which that's a cap.
I mean, but here's the thing. Let's take what Astralis says at face value. Let's say they don't play Amaru.
Okay.
Historically.
Okay.
If there was ever a time to suddenly start involving that operator in your lineup, now's about as good time as any.
Oh, certainly.
Teams will conceal entire maps, hoping to bring them out at the most advantageous point. That could be a grand finals, that could be when you're facing down elimination. Astralis has been facing down elimination through 5 games now. Yeah. This is a very familiar spot for them.
Yeah.
If they had to bring things out to stave off elimination, they would have done that and expended all of their war chest against the Sonics back in the very first round of the lower bracket. So G2 can just look at it and say, you know what? We've watched the footage from Astralis. There's not a single attacker that they bring that we are worried about handling. Let's just ban our own comfort pick just in case.
Yeah, I was going to say, a good team will study your opponent and ban out their comfortable operators, their high pick rate ones that really make or break either defense or an attack. A great team is going to look beyond the scope and say, well, these attacks are amazing, but what if they were to implement this operator as a surprise pick? That very well could be, as you said, Parker, the Amaru, to speed things up from Astralis because they are starting on attack. G2 get to get the favorable side, set up their defenses, and let Astralis approach the building however they would like to. And then, of course, after 6 rounds, we'll look at the scoreline to see who seems to have a better grasp at theme park so far. But there is one thing. Astralis, by my count, at this event, the best team at attacking theme park by far. Especially against this armory thrown bomb site with G2 stars, but Bente finds just one. It looked like a free 2 kills, but no, Forest immediately hops off the drone and trades it back.
Good coordination here. Attacking theme park is a mighty undertaking. And as good as Astralis might be, again, just like every other map at this entire event, it tilts towards the defenders. 60% of all rounds played for the defense. Down goes Forest. So yeah, Benja might not have gotten that first pick, but guess who did?
Yeah, Doki follows up.
The other superstar from map number 1. Iconic trades out Ali Mao Virtue in this rat position. Oh my. Almost missing out on the first burst of bullets, but secures the kill on a J90 who walks into Cafe seemingly without any drones.
I will say, like, with the 2 Heartbreachers being killed off by G2, the question has to be raised internally. Should we fall back to the bomb site and play it safe? Because they cannot really open up any lines of sight. They don't know Iconic has a secondary Heartbreach gadget. If you got both Hibana and Ace on the board, it's almost safe to assume you don't bring a 3rd Heartbreach option. And it seems like this question has been answered by G2 because while I was saying that, all 3 members, they ran from top floor down to the 1st floor and into the bomb site. Now Astralis, they have only really 3 ways in. The hatch leading to the bomb site itself, but as we spoke about in Chalet, dropping a hatch, not a great place to be in. And you got the dragon door, and you got that triple door from Arcade side, so there really aren't any favorable positions for Astralis to get inside this bomb site, and they have to win the round.
I mean, the only real benefit is that secondary Heartbreach gadget.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, losing your 2 Heartbreachers first is usually, that's it. That's the round for own armory. You're doomed. Obviously, you don't play these rounds on paper. You play them in the server, so good theory craft all we want. Speaking of those secondary Heartbreach, there
they breached this already.
Salmas did go off, but guess what's on the board? Blur's Capcan traps still linger and guard the door frames. Spiff, very lucky to not die to that. G2 don't need to move a muscle. Great patience. Again, it doesn't need to be flashy. Spiff needs to be wary as Iconic picks up his 2nd kill. There's a crossfire. Blur gets it. Iconic will need to shove one of them out, but Blur's just too good. G2 take round 1.
Watching G2 play this tournament, I've tried to kind of attach a simple word to describe their playstyle when they're on defense. And the only word I could really come up with that I thought was fitting was that they're a bully. And I think this round portrays it perfectly. Within 20 seconds, Benja jumps out a window, kills 1 Heartbreacher, almost gets the 2nd. And then you think, they're done bullying and picking on people now. But no, Doki does the same thing, finds the 2nd Heartbreach. And then they play disciplined, respecting Astralis' clutch potential in those 2v3s, 2v2s, etc. Establishing crossfires on the side and playing it safe. And that's the other thing. G2 as an org historically always been good at shutting down the star players, such as Iconic on the clutch. Now the thing is, Astralis as an entire team, they all bring that clutch factor. Most clutches in this tournament by far, with W7M being 2nd place. Over 25 individual 1v8s round by Astralis so far in this tournament. And G2, it's only been 1 map. Sure, we went 15 rounds, but only 1 round clutch by Astralis. When you look at that in terms of numbers, that's a good scenario for G2. They only win 1 round from like a 1 versus 3. So they are shutting down Astralis and where they shine in those clutch moments, and it has been the saving grace of Chalet for them.
Wow, G2 winning the bomb site that for a period of time had the distinction of being the friendliest to the defenders. Was that one game you and I casted where it seemed like Throne Armory was played the most and the attackers just kept winning over and over and over?
And you know who attacked on that map? Astralis.
Exactly. It's almost like I remembered the game, but was deliberately pretending not to so that you could chime in. Funny how that works, doesn't it? You might not be chiming in, but Iconic's going to have a lot to say. Droned in and dispatching Alley Mal. This is the power that a Nook provides. The drone does not break the barricade. Doesn't work that way.
It would be kind of cool though, right? Like a really strong toss toward the window. Iconic wants to get out, not surrender himself. Want to maintain that advantage.
Doing his best Iconic impression. Up those dragon stairs, Doki on the retake. Oh. There's a flank drone there though, and has Doki noticed it? He's walked right past it, knowing that it's not lit up. But he's under watch yet again. Forrest jumps on out. Down goes Spiff. Where was that?
Balcony of cash.
And now it's Iconic to follow. Shuttle on the board. Very fast. Again, they just talked about this. Doki playing by Dragon Corridor. They don't see him there. Forrest in a 1v3 with a minute and a half to go. This is certainly not the start that Astralis wanted, but G2 is going to be very happy about it. Can Forrest pull off a clutch? Will he take this time to think and sit? Diffuser within reach. It'll be there in just a moment.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Sounded like the last Kiba barrier went for Doki as well. Magnets will continue to be tossed out from Virtue. Good news for this G2 defense is that they don't need to do anything. Again, G2 have not really played that flashy through this series.
They don't need to. Not yet. Forrest struggling to keep a barrier.
Doki just waited patiently. 2-0 G2.
I'm curious what this is going to look like from Astralis in terms of tactical timeout usage, because when they call it, they win the round afterwards, and they need more than just a single round. They need to play their timeout in a way where you get enough information as call out to give you 60 seconds worth of feedback that will change this tide around. But also you can't wait too long to take that timeout because you don't want to be down, let's say, 0-4, 0-5. It's a fine balance right now if you're the coach of Astralis as when to hit the brakes and when to help your team out turn this around.
Astralis won the first 2 rounds against G2 on G2's map.
Yeah.
They did so on the unfavorable side. So I'm imagining that Callout is looking at this now and saying, okay, G2 have won their very first 2 defenses. No point in hitting the emergency stop button just yet. Theme Park is going to tilt in G2's favor. If Astralis can emerge from the first half 3-3, just as we saw on Chalet, then I'd say that Astralis is in pretty good shape. But said the same thing about Chalet. We were correct, but then needed overtime to seal the deal between the squads. Obviously, Callout is privy to the team comms. We are not. So if there's something troubling going on in terms of emotions, or if the team is not in the correct headspace, then yeah, it's not unusual to see a coach call it in the first 2 rounds. The fact that it hasn't been called just yet suggests that Callout doesn't see this as cause for concern.
I'm gonna keep my eyes on Spiff for this one. He's had a slow start in the first 2 rounds, but again, the way G2 are playing, it's not really easy to fight back, just jumping out windows, challenging all the openings. But Spiff had a pretty significant high-value first map of Chalet. His first game on the stage yesterday. He had a bit of a rough start, settling in with a crowd, the cameras, the pressure that builds upon the stage itself. Today looking a lot more comfortable in the server. He is that young rookie of Astralis. He's only 18 years of age. Imagine starting at the Six Invitationals.
Great point by Dezichu after the first map. Said Ben just got more kills than years alive. Doki continuing onwards. These threats that G2 have not been able to get slowed down. Now it's Benja's turn to get on the board. There's the logic bomb, revealing the position of Doki. Nobody seemingly in sight to deal with it. Every single kill from G2 coming from a separate player. Now Benja hunted down by J90.
Surely not.
Don't see team aces all that often. 5v3, won't be a team ace.
Wow.
Carl gets 2 kills. Doki shuts the door. G2 indomitable up 3-0. That third round done flawlessly.
That is the easiest looking office defense I've ever seen because it didn't really matter where the bomb site was. It has 0 impact on what's happening on the server. They're just fighting downstairs, upstairs, across, and near the site itself.
The one benefit of the 4 games that Astralis played on this map is that there is no shortage of VOD to review for G2. They can sift through every single round. They can sift through every single action. You know it from when you teamed with him. Fabian has a very analytical brain. He sees these strategies at a micro and a macro level.
You sit in a room, 7, 8 people, right?
Yeah.
And you go, this looks pretty easy to pick apart. Let's just go this position, be ready for this, etc. You note it down, you prep it, you talk about it, then you apply it in the server. Astralis definitely looks like they've been studied through and through in the first 3 rounds. But again, when you look at G2's gameplay, as you said, Parker, it's not flashy, it's just consistent. Astralis, they have to find a way to break it on their attack inside. They cannot go on their defense being down 0-6. Then there's no room for mistakes and very little room for adaptation and risks. They need to find just the 2 attacking rounds to be in a great position because that 2-4 split, that's arguably the expected number of rounds you'll get looking at Theme Park across the board.
A perfect rotation through their first 3 bomb sites for G2. They go back down to Throne and Armory. A quick runoff of the 4 bomb sites just to give you a bit of a lay of the land. We have seen Throne, Armory. We've seen Bunk Daycare, and we've seen Initiation and Office be played so far. Lab will likely show up at some point. Teams do like to play it. And in fact, it's Initiation Office with the lowest pick rate, despite the fact that we've already seen it once. All 4 bomb sites, very firmly defender-sided. 59% of rounds played on Armory Throne, won by the defense. 62% on Bunk Daycare. Lab Storage, 61%. Office, Initiation, not just the lowest played bomb site, but the lowest win rate for the defenders, still 57% of all rounds won by the defense. Based on those numbers, 5-1s are entirely possible for the defenders. G2 are marching their way towards that number right now. They've already got 3 rounds. That last one done flawlessly, no signs of slowing down.
Iconic.
Maybe Iconic has something to say about it. First pick onto Doki, but Shuttle's gone. Look at this. G2 always trading back. They are not allowing Astralis even a moment to breathe after getting that first pick.
That's true. Every single time they're just looking for more and more, but General plays it smart, walks backwards. Let's just come to him, get that free kill himself.
Iconic doesn't need to go anywhere. He can just sit and wait now. Oh, he gets Ali Mao, thinking he had something, but the logic bomb gives his position away. Down below. In lab, not the actual bomb site, but still holding it. An important place to sit as a defender, especially if you want to retake through split.
And you can see Astralis attack a lineup, only a single heart breach. They want more gun power for these engagements. They recognize it's about the fight.
Oh, they've got 2 downs from Benja. Pulling off the 3K.
Swapping mags.
That's a way to stop Astralis, blunt their momentum. Benja's luck runs out against J90. Blur had taken some damage earlier on. He's in a very strong spot. Playing in back Armory. Knows one's coming in through Dragon Door, the other over towards Split, but he has a blind spot towards Split right now. Dueling with Spiff, engaging, but Spiff is better. Astralis, after their timeout, they get on the board.
It looked great for them. The hatch drop, very risky, doesn't pay off immediately, but they still get the round victory. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'm curious if the replay might catch it because it seemed like a very, very almost unintentional play from them. No, just bad timing. Captain Trap goes off at the same time. Benja was there at the right moment to strike.
The crowd's so desperate. They need anything to get them into this match. The desk talked about it, that the crowd is keeping Astralis in this match and in many matches. This now being the second.
Right back to Throne again. I mean,
Came down to a 1v2. Benja.
Exactly.
3 huge picks, keeping numbers close. Astralis were fine on the entry, but I don't ever think once they got those opening picks, and G2 answered back, fair enough. I don't think Benja ever got discovered, which means that you look at your strategy, you say, okay, through the mid-round,
5 seconds left.
Astralis are not hopping back onto drones to figure out where we are off-site. They're too focused on the execute on-site. And they wanted that on-site aggression. They weren't going for the strategic element because, as you pointed out, there was just a single hard breacher. Astralis is going to bring the exact same setup again.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense as well. And I want to say the big difference in that round is that Iconic finds the opening kill, that's normal. But then J9 actually staying alive, finding a second kill for Astralis. Normally that's where it's the opposite way around, where Iconic finds one, then G2 they find two back. So Astralis now playing a little bit slower as a team, expecting the aggression from G2 and punishing it. That's what they need to do. Round 5 on the way, and Iconic just sitting on that rappel, waiting for a rotation from G2, but he rappels in.
He's in. He's hunting down Benja. Ooh. This has been quite the duel so far, with Iconic walking away successful most times. Good prioritization over the Kiba barrier. Oh, cannot get a third, maybe a bit too confident. Alimau with both kills so far for G2 this round. Won't get any more. Forrest says no thanks, and now your cams are ours. 3v2 for Astralis. Again, the tempo of these rounds when Astralis are attacking is just, it's breathtaking how quick it is. First kills happening within the first 40 to 50 seconds consistently every single round.
One thing I would love to see from Astralis is somebody helping Iconic. I mean, this man is in fighting 3 members back to back to back with no support, and he's finding so much value in the rounds. Now it's Spiff, Force, and Shuttle to seal the deal, get that second round on the board near theme part attacks. It is thrown though, it's easily defendable by 2 defenders. That's exactly what G2 has to work with.
There's the last logic bomb from Forrest. Doki now doing what Benja had done on the previous round. Play far off site, aim for a retake at some point. Maybe catch Astralis looking the wrong way just as Benja. Oh, he almost gets it. Down goes Spiff. And suddenly, Doki finds himself in a 1v3! Oh, cannot go against Forrest! Astralis get 2 in a row. They've closed the gap down to just a single round between them and G2.
Forrest finds the clutch, the second in this matchup. Iconic found the first. The clutch factor, keeping Astralis in it. It's a very close round once again. Spiff injured on the ground. Almost looked like he was just proning, waiting for something to happen. And Forrest with less than 30 HP just lands that DMR shot onto Doki, shuts him down. Things are shaping up to be a close series once more after what could have been a blowout with a 3-0 lead for G2, ending that third round on a flawless even. Bomb side change for G2 after 2 unsuccessful rounds on throne, and we spoke about earlier, Parker, Astralis is one of the best teams at attack in that armory throne bomb site. They always seem to have a way in to problem solve at most, if not all, scenarios. In G2, they challenge it to say, I dare you to do it twice in a row. But Astralis did it.
5 seconds.
Timeout worked its magic, settled the team down, screwed their heads on straight.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse.
Not exactly impressive rounds, but scrappy. And that's what Astralis is. Every time they're scrappy. If G2 are bullies, then that's the word to describe Astralis. They are never out of a round. 1v3s, 1v4s, 1v2s, 1v1s, doesn't matter. Astralis changing things up, juggling the hard breach, putting into the hands of Iconic now. Forrest has earned the Nook role.
It's like the dog for an attack. Gets chosen, one gets to play the operator.
You're gonna get a lot of value out of this Twitch as well because of the Mira on the board, providing that Benja has put down those mute jammers in positions where you can stop the drone's advance.
Bomb located by attackers.
G2 have 2 ways to play this bomb site. Hard walls to the side, playing a bandit and tricky, but there's no banding on the board because the walls are opened up as an aggressive hold across it.
That sucks for Doki, losing that position inside a cache. Shuttle with 3 more drones. Second will now go out. And it just evades Doki, but it flushes him away from his position. He's gonna hold down this spot over towards Cash. He's got 2 Kiba barriers in pocket. At any point, those kunais can get thrown out. He's not gonna die with them though. There goes one, give him some protection after softening up, then finishing iconic. Doki evading kills so far, totally blind. They're both blind. Spiff seems to be able to see quite clearly though. Now Blur is down. Advantage for Astralis with half of the round to go. Yet another round where the action comes so quickly.
But this time it's the injury working for Astralis, and Nuke striking secondly after that fact, and that gives them even more map control.
There goes Benja. I think it hits like a truck, and you know it. 4v2 for Astralis, plenty of time to work through. 6 drones remaining, including Rotero drones. One that's used to move Alimau out of his position. Alimau decides to swing, he has no choice. He's lost virtue now, has no teammates by his side, and he's boxed into the bomb site. Tucked away in the corner. Should be good enough for 1 kill, 2 even.
Shotgun.
Shotgun out, he can easily win this. Oh, a J90 is quick to the punch. Just as on map 1, first half, 3 rounds apiece.
And Astralis always playing close together, the saving grace once again. If you are just 1 second further behind your teammate, you allow Alimau to get into security, play that second position where he can get a vantage point. But instead, the moment he goes for the run, they're there to strike. He had 2 Toxic Babes left. He could have easily stalled things out in that 1v1. But Astralis, the teamwork, the communication, it's flawless in that round.
I mean, if Alimau had stood his ground and just decided to fight again instead of running, he probably would have won that engagement against J9.
Possible.
It's very possible. Zofia at that close range, shotgun in hand, you're probably winning that one. And we could have seen G2's clutch compared to Astralis's. Then rank them maybe after the fact. First half going in terms of opening duels. Most of the rounds were trades. Because of the quick pace that Astralis set, G2 were almost always lined up to trade out. This was one thing when you played on that Penta and G2 squad. The biggest compliment that could be paid against that team was you were never, ever at a disadvantage. You might die, but Jonas was there to have your back. Goga might die. Fabian was there to have his back. You were always in position to trade out. Nice to see G2 doing something that I casted 5 years ago.
Some things never change, and I mean, when you got the old man himself, Fabian, behind the squads, I mean, it's no secret he is brewing his own experience and ideologies and philosophies into this roster, saying there's a certain structure, how you play the game, perceive the game, in and out of the server, even when you're at LAN events. Carry yourself a certain way, approach the game a certain way, and it's very evident that G2 is a much more structured and better looking team than just 3 months ago. Massive props to the team for that.
Oh, Forrest! No, that's not the start you want. Forrest has these rounds where he gets a little bit too brazen. Again, confidence becomes hubris. G2 now, no trade. They follow up with a nice nade from Benja onto J90, tossed in masterfully. After that Kiba barrier had gone down, the next one finds its marks. Astralis are not ceding any ground right now, though. Oh, but Benja breaks in, doesn't see Spiff at top of Dragon, and he engages again. But the Deagle, again, might be a bit too much hubris for this Astralis team. They've been reduced to just 2. G2 desperate to get the lead back. They surrendered it just a minute and a half ago.
They got full side control. There are no last members of roaming from Astralis. They can just get down and plant this diffuser down.
You got to get the diffuser in. Once again, Blur holding on to it. Shepherd him in. Astralis will aim to fight for a post plant. Blur getting the diffuser down now at the halfway mark. Two-thirds, it's all the way down. Virtue dies. Astralis will scramble out of their positions.
This retake is so hard.
You have to go through split. And as long as there's a cross, which there is, you're as good as dead. Doki digs 2 graves. G2 take the lead back.
I had to say early in that round, Spiff really surprising and impressing me. Standing his ground on the Dragon Stairs, gets Benja, whips out the Deagle and goes for a second engagement. I mean, note, he could have ran back to bomb site undamaged at any moment. He chooses to fight. Astralis having a game plan saying, do not surrender this control to G2. Fight where you can. They'll get 4 kills in the round. Gets bomb site control, escorts Blur with diffuser onto side. He's doing all of it in that round. He even took down Spiff upstairs.
We talk about it when it comes to maps, we talk about it when it comes to bomb site rotations, but if you're making it to the final four of the biggest event of the year, it is not often that one player on a team will lag behind the rest. You win as a team, you lose as a team. And even when you look at players like Blur, like Virtue, like Alimao, who are not anywhere near the top of the scoreboard like Benja is, or Doki's broken double digits with 10 kills. They're still playing a role. And that role might be to sit on a drone for 2.5 minutes. That role might be relying on other people. Maybe you need them, Doki and Benja, to flush out the roamers, and then you walk in after being on drone, you get the diffuser down, you get some hard breach down. Maybe on defense, your goal is to not overpeak and stay alive.
That's exactly how it works, right? And the thing is, Doki and Benja, they're not just walking in, taking these fights because, oh, they're so much better. No, it's because the supportive cast of Element Blur, they're there to support them, drone them on in, hold across, or if they push someone out, they're there to capture them. It's always a team effort on all fronts, from all teams.
It's the same thing with Astralis. They do not get to where they are in this lower bracket run, vanquishing all the teams that they've vanquished along the way, if somebody is a boat anchor. And I know that we put a very large and very bright spotlight on Shuttle, but they don't beat Koi without Shuttle yesterday. Again, it's a team effort. Benja the first to die in this round. It comes a bit late, it's been a minute.
Yeah, one of the slower rounds for sure.
Iconic on Solus. Solus banned out on Chalet by G2. Nice to see Astralis go back to an operator that can impact things so strongly. Alimao takes down Forrest, and now the site is under G2's control. Half of the round to go, and the diffuser going down at the moment, once again by Blur. Shuttle will swing out, losing the duel to Alimao. G2 have the site control, boxing them out. Doki with 2 big picks, Iconic with 2 of his own, but Blur seals the deal. G2 2 rounds away from the victory they so crave.
That's 2 rounds in a row where G2 finds himself in the middle of the bomb site while still trying to roam clear with a single member. Sure, Benja might have been shot down by Iconic, but it comes at the cost of the entire round for Astralis. And while down the hatch, in he goes. It's messy, but there's only 1 member of Forest defending the site itself with no trade. Doki, so accurate in these gunfights.
Once they knew they had site control, the rest of G2 snapped into action. And they were surrounding the bomb site. It was not a very linear take by G2. Oh. They assessed that there was just a single player through that office area. They go in, they get the kill. Trying to figure out exactly what the crowd is saying.
That's what I was thinking.
Kind of like no, but I don't. Are you saying no to Astralis losing? That's not how it works.
Speaking a victory into existence, saying no when you lose the round. That is not supposed to happen, that is wrong.
It's not quite how it works.
It's not. But you can try all you want. Astralis, of course. They know a thing or two about going the distance, even being down in rounds, being in unfavorable spots. When you lose the first map, you're down 3 to 5 on the second one. That is your map pick. It's not looking great.
Yeah, I mean, the big issue with Astralis is we talk about how it's a team. They've just got, in this series so far, too many players who are losing duels and getting picked off by superior gunplay from G2. There's obviously a strategic element to it. You saw Alimao when he was on attack, how well he was droning. But at the end of the day, who is stacking up to Doki and Benja when it comes to the kills department? And time again, Astralis are just finding themselves in losing positions. Now, in their matches earlier in the lower bracket, maybe against worse opponents, yeah, you might be able to pull off a couple clutches as we saw from Astralis.
Great name.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
But better opponents will not allow you to clutch those 1v3s, those 1v4s, etc. They just will not. And that is what I think we are seeing right now with G2. They are isolating these players, and despite that Astralis is repeatedly in 3v5s, 2v4s, G2 are suffocating them and not allowing those clutches to happen at all.
And look at another slow round. G2, they're choosing this. I mean, they're on the attack, step by step, going through the motions, letting Astralis kind of bleed out, kind of questioning what exactly is going to be happening, and then striking when the moment is right. Doki missing out on a freebie.
Forest is down. G2 get the start that they want. Now it's Spiff to swing into action. Doki traded off. There's a Kiba barrier to go up, keeping Spiff alive for the moment. But he's got double duty. Nade sails in. He gets away with a hair of HP before Astralis get on the board in 2 big plays. Now the advantage goes to Astralis. But look at the HP of Iconic and J90. Very, very low, and there's still 1 nade left for Virtue. If that thing lands even remotely close to those 2 players from AST, they are gone.
Good drone work on the side and on the roam. G2 knows that most members fell back. With the C4 being ripped out, could take down one of the last 2 members off the attacking lineup. It's J90, primed and ready. Virtue's gonna want to use that hammer and start that vertical destruction, but 35 seconds left to go. They need to start hitting the bomb site itself shortly. They got the info, but can they act upon it? I'm not so sure.
G2 have plenty of time to use that information, but now is when the clock starts to run out.
It's right there.
They know that J90 is in that position. It's a 2-2. Blur will hop into the bomb site with the diffuser.
10 seconds to go.
Are kills even possible here? They're both stacked up. Last 2 players from G2. Iconic chooses the wrong direction, but he clutches it again. The crown shines brightest on the head of the king.
He waits for the right moment, doesn't swing in the first jump in, doesn't even swing in the second. He lets them wrap around and expose themselves, giving up that cover off the sandbags to secure the round. Again, a high risk, but a high reward. Almost sacrificing his teammate. Shuttle actually saving Spiff inside of Cafeteria by shutting down that inter-member of G2. Another close 2 versus 2, but Astralis come out on top once again. That lab bomb site, there's so much map to worry about, so many locations of the roamers, and G2, they got close. But the bomb site is so big, all those corners with no drones, no time, it's too much to handle.
I was gonna say, these first 2 rounds for G2, that's where things begin to get troubling. Look back in the first half. G2 goes up 3-0, timeout called immediately. The tail end of that flawless 3rd round by Astralis. They have no parachute. They're soaring through the night sky, soaring through the stars. No way to slow themselves. But then you go onto the favored side on Theme Park, again your map, and you surrender the first 2 rounds. That's when things get really concerning if I'm Astralis. Being able to answer back, being able to get a single round, keep it close, deny G2 series point. That's the position Astralis wants to be in.
Yeah. Fabian as the other coach of G2, I mean, he's gonna know the same thing. I mean, you're gonna be a little bit hesitant calling your timeout as long as you have the lead, because you're gonna give the opponents the same chance to talk to their coach. We always see when Callout he makes his timeout, changes happen on Astralis immediately after, implemented just seconds.
Doki runs into J90, losing the duel. Again, you gotta think, that 3 armor of Melusi, that's gonna come in awfully handy, keep you alive. Another nade goes in, they're being tossed in by G2 so far quite fruitlessly. Now it's Spiff to take matters into his own hands by the arcade window. A trail of Gumine's being hit. J90 the first to die. There wasn't much left of him anyway, so a sacrifice to be made as Forest for Astralis gives the advantage in numbers back. Ali Mao runs in, but he also runs into Spiff. Again, this is a brawl, a duel between these teams. G2 trailing yet again. Half of the round to play. Astralis to sit and wait for it. Forest on the Ella. You know he's magical on that operator.
Yeah.
Problem for G2 is you don't have those 2 superstars right now. You're going to rely on your support players to outduel those same players on Astralis. Get down to the Throne Armory bomb site, get the diffuser planted. If Blur's focus is objective play, Virtue will need to cover, but he's now lost half of his life. He loses the rest of it to Spiff. 2 kills on the round, looking mighty fine. Blur secures what little was left, and now needs to hastily reposition. This will be going for kills on G2's side. How can you get that diffuser planted when you've got 2 players still staring in your direction? Selmas go out, jammed. What is Blur to do here? Drops to split after being stunned. Activates the Banshee, getting through the door. This is always a harrowing endeavor. Look at that.
Stacked.
They are stacked up, and Blur will force them out. 1 through split, maybe. He thinks they're over by Dragon.
Seconds remaining.
They're just gonna play keep away. Blur chasing away at their heels. He might be able to get the boat, but Shuttle says no thank you. We're gonna need all 12 rounds again.
Astralis playing some of the most absurd 1 versus 2s in terms of positioning. I think they feel inspired from other FPS titles, because in Rainbow Six Siege, you never stack in a 1v2. It's always about the crossfires, but it works so well for them, time and time again. And yes, we will need to go the distance. G2, while these replays are occurring on your screen, have called for a tactical timeout now that things are tied up 5-5. Fabian wants to secure this 2-0, maintain some energy for later. They have 1 more match. Either of the 2 teams who wins tonight gotta go up against OXG, waiting for them in that 2nd match. Call out most likely gonna praise his team, saying, you know what, boys, you didn't even need me. You figured this out on your own. But anyway, here are 2 things you can do better.
Based off of what we've seen of the timeouts so far. Back in map number 1 on Chalet. Timeout called. Team that calls the timeout, good enough for the next 2 rounds in their win column. Here on Theme Park, after Astralis called their timeout, they won 3 in a row. One of these teams will move to map point, one of them will move to series point.
Yeah.
The Astralis run, perilously close to ending.
Also so close to giving us a 3rd map at the same time.
Give me Villa or give me death. It's very simple.
That is a similar way to put it.
Me plus Villa equals life. Me minus Villa equals death. It's a simple equation, really.
Adaptations we have to look out for now. In terms of operator lineup, Iconic on the Warden. We haven't seen that much Warden play so far. Virtue on the Lion. The only real 2 operator changes so far in this matchup, it's the details that are going to change. I think both teams' philosophy in terms of macro, the overall gameplay is going to stay somewhat the same. But it's those small ways that G2 can try and win out on those opening engagements, because as Astralis on defense always find themselves with 1 member more alive on their side than that of G2. And then it boils down to a 2 versus 1 in their favor, and that's how these rounds have been proceeding. It's been very close, 2 rounds in a row. Maybe Virtue on the Line can make a difference. Play more loose with that global gadget.
You know what I'd love from the desk at some point? I know you can hear me, and now you're looking at me. How many rounds possible could Astralis have played, and how many rounds have they played at this event?
Oh.
That's what I want to know.
The yellow pin. Oh, he says no. There we go. Is that the crowd buff?
That's the crowd buff indeed. A tiny bit of damage to Forest, timed well with the EE1D of the Lion. Zami of Forest able to get away. Spectacular on Ella, but a new operator is in his hands.
That's spectacular use of the crowd, I'll have to say.
The crowd buff is real. Each side of this arena dedicated to the team that is closest to them. G2 can hear them, clear as day. They're sitting right next to them. There's the other grenade, it connects. The first one had Forrest's name on it, the second dedicated to Iconic. G2 now pressing up the stairs, they run into Forrest. Astralis trail by 2, G2's entry, very good to this point. Benja goes down, now it's Doki's turn to take some damage, but G2 have reduced Astralis to just Shuttle. In a 1v3, oh, that bullet just whizzes past his face. Shuttle's lost. G2 on series point.
No information for Charlotte. He can't make the right decision when it matters the most. Has to flick between two different angles. It's too much. Overwhelmed by 3 members of G2. They go on match and series point. The yellow pink grenades again. The information that allows Benja this success, always there for G2.
Reminiscent of when Space Station were in the same spot here in Laval. The Astralis cheering section lighting up their phones, projecting the stars.
They know it's now that, it boils down to this round. Astralis, they need overtime or they'll have to leave the arena as players and join the crowd tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be sitting here for the rest of the day.
10 seconds to go.
I hear the chance for overtime. Believe you me, I want it too. I want as many rounds between these two teams as is humanly possible.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Now Astralis, they changed up their approach. They've tried this aggression, but now it got punished. Now they're playing more passive, right? The Goyo canisters, the Ela Grismot mines. These are going to stop G2 on the entry, but also these rounds are actually coming down to the last 40 seconds for the first time in this series. If we get to 40 seconds now for Astralis, they have tools to stall out those last remaining pieces of action. They're gonna try and bleed G2 out slowly. And G2's gotta be quick to the punch. They don't recognize this just yet. They're taking their time, droning out the entirety of the map. There's a clear line in the middle. There's one part that Astralis cares about, and there's one part they've surrendered. That part, well, G2's starting to take it, but the first minute is burned down the clock. They have to start acting on the actual roam clear in front of them. Spiff is upstairs. He's there with support of Shuttle. They're the first front lines for Astralis that G2 has to deal with.
It's a rough spot for Shuttle to be in. They're gonna chip away at his HP with these nades. Next one hits the Kiba barrier. That's a magic trick, and he's got a couple up his sleeve. Doki taking damage at the same time as well. Alimau goes down. Astralis looking for 4 more kills to propel us to overtime. But G2 have just been magnificent, even when they trail. Benjamaster exchanging most of his HP for a kill on the Spiff. I'll take that trade. I'll take that trade every day.
So close, but Forrest gets up live.
Now it's Iconic's turn to go into the ground. More weight on the shoulders of Astralis. G2 reducing these numbers. They can feel the match against OXG. They can taste it. And Forrest will need to clutch in a 1v4. What a run it's been for Astralis. But the G2 streak is just too strong. G2 will dim the scars in the sky.
16-0 for Fabian against North America throughout his entire career of 7 years. And they got one more team from that same region later today in OXG.
A lot of people thought Astralis wouldn't be able to make it this far, and then every single time they proved people wrong, the thought was, well, they're just living on borrowed time. Eventually, time runs out. G2 continue this run through the lower bracket as well. They're looking for yet another hammer.
I mean, Astralis, they played almost as many maps and as many rounds as humanly possible. Fatigue has to set in. The amount of thoughts you can study as their opponent, they've had to give so much weight because of that lower bracket run, and they had the plot armor for so long, beating so many formidable teams in this tournament. They can be very proud and happy with the result that they got here.
I'm gonna ask you for a little bit of crowd interaction. Can we get a nice standing ovation for Astralis on this miracle run, whether you were cheering for them or not?